What's up, champions? My friend BP asked me if I wanted to go through the new raids this weekend. So I've already got solid Titan and Warlock builds utilising the aspects from this season's artifact, so I needed to come up with a hunter build ASAP. My job was ad clearing and big boss damage. With that in mind, I immediately logged off Pornhub and started working on this build, which excels in, well, everything. We're scorching and igniting everything. We're making everything volatile. We can suppress enemies. We can even jolt enemies. We're freezing things. We have 2 grenades. Our grenades are curing us. We're getting restoration from fire sprites. And we have 2 ways of creating fire sprites. We're always going to be radiant and making allies radiant, on top of having an extra 10% weapon damage at all time. We have a void overshield. Our abilities are almost always available, and so is heavy ammo. And we have 6 ways of creating orbs of power. What, you want more? Okay, how about an already powerful super that deals 70% more damage and can mount last sector bosses instantly? Let's have a look.
So my goal here was to deal an absolute ton of damage and clear out all enemies and trying to stay alive in the process. With this build I didn't have to try very hard at all. Let's start off with the firebolt nades, which are insanely powerful this season, not just for damage but for survivability too. There are 4 mods which need to be unlocked in this season's artifact, the first being Flare Up. Firebolt grenades apply more scorch stacks, and damaging a combatant with a firebolt grenade spawns a fire sprite. This is one way of creating a fire sprite, and the grenade only needs to damage a target, it doesn't actually need to kill them. The second artifact perk is Rain of Firebolts. When you have a firebolt grenade equipped, gain a second grenade charge. So this is obviously going to allow us to have 2 grenades here, and these grenades are going to heal us on kills thanks to a fragment, which I'll get to soon. Now, picking up a fire sprite will do 3 things. 1, it will give grenade energy back. 2, it will apply restoration thanks to another fragment, and 3, it will give us armor charge thanks to the third artifact perk, Solar Surge. Collecting a fire sprite gives you armor charge. The 4th perk is called Volatile Flow. This makes our void weapons have volatile rounds when picking up an orb of power, which in turn will give us an overshield thanks to a certain weapon mod I'll get to later. But for now, this leads me on to talk about the exotic of choice, the Star Eater Scales. With these at max stack, you can delete mini bosses, champions, and do huge damage to anything else, as they provide up to 70% damage increase to an already powerful super. Simply pick up orbs of power while your super is fully charged to activate Feast of Light up to a maximum of ×4. This is why we have 6 ways of creating orbs of power. Let's go over them real quick. The first way is from a fragment called Ember of Wonder. Rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignitions generate an orb of power, and ignitions now stun unstoppable champions, don't forget. Our souped up nades along with our melee will be causing ignitions over time and generating orbs in the process. Secondly, the Void Siphon Helmet mod will create orbs of power on rapid void weapon final blows. The 3rd and 4th way is simply by defeating targets with grenades and melee abilities thanks to the firepower and heavy-handed arm mods. The 5th way is by getting a weapon kill after using the Hunter's Dodge thanks to Reaper, which is a Hunter's Cloak mod. And the 6th way is by another artifact mod called Shattered Orbs, which will create an orb of power by shattering an enemy's shield with a matching damage type. This one isn't as important, but the more orbs the better, right? Now, we already spoke about the orbs providing volatile rounds to the void weapons, but they also give additional buffs thanks to the innovation mod on the legs, which provide grenade energy when picking them up. They will also provide the 10% weapon damage buff I mentioned in the intro thanks to the void weapon surge. Get even more grenade energy back when using a grenade thanks to grenade kickstarter on the arms. This will get rid of all armor charges when used, but the fire sprites you pick up after damaging an enemy with a grenade, then the orb you get after the grenade kill, ignition, weapon kill, melee kill, whatever method of orb making comes first, will get you back to max stacks. Stacks on Stacks mod on the legs will give us 2 armor charges every time we pick up an orb of power or fire sprite, and the charged up chest mod will allow for 1 more stack of armor charge, allowing us to almost always have 4 charges, and you only need to pick up 2 orbs or 2 fire sprites or 1 of each to get back to max stack with the amount of them that will be around you. Right, the subclass. Obviously using solar and Blade Barrage and knock them down as a first aspect, which will make Blade Barrage launch more projectiles, but also make final blows with the throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. Now we're becoming radiant by using our melee, which is making us deal 25% more weapon damage while this buff is active by simply causing damage. You don't have to kill anybody with the throwing knife, you just have to cause damage with it. And that comes from the second fragment, Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant, which, if you play it right, you will almost always be radiant. And while you are radiant, you can stun barrier champions this season with any weapon. The third aspect is Ember of Singeing. Your class ability charges faster when you scorch targets. Our 2 nades and melee will be taking care of that for us. This will help proc radiant if you don't have it, thanks to the Hunter's Gambler's Dodge class ability. Dodging near enemies fully recharges your melee ability. With nades providing cure, fire sprites providing restoration, and having a void overshield, you will be in the enemy's faces all the time, so this shouldn't be a problem. It also plays nicely with the Reaper class item mod, which every time we dodge makes our next weapon kill spawn an orb. It's perfect synergy. We already spoke about Ember of Wonder, so let's move on to Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. Now, this is our second way of making fire sprites. Damaging an enemy with a grenade, thanks to flare up, and now defeating scorched targets will also create fire sprites. And lastly, Ember of Mercy. This is what makes fire sprites grant restoration. You also gain restoration for yourself and allies whilst reviving too, which is nice, but it's a restoration from fire sprites we mainly want here. This is going to make us super tanky. The second aspect, on your mark, is simply to allow us to have 3 fragment slots, but adds a nice bonus to reload speed and handling after activating your dodge, which we'll be doing a lot. Now, the melee I've gone for is Knife Trick, as it simply covers a larger area and scorches everything they hit, prepping enemies to drop fire sprites on kill, and also helping to trigger ignitions. One thing to mention here before getting onto the weapons is that I'm using the Ashes to Assets helmet mod. It makes sense to get our Blade Barrage up ASAP. I was running double these, which was really nice, but I switched one out for a heavy ammo finder, as this is going to provide 2 extra benefits on our weapons. Firstly, it's giving me extra ammo for my Lead from Gold and Chill Clip Riptide. Every time I get a purple brick, I get ammo for this weapon too, thanks to Lead from Gold. Chill Clip is also how we are freezing things. 2 shots from this fusion rifle will freeze most champions and mini bosses, with a 3rd shot causing them to shatter and cause huge damage in the process. The Orvandal FR6 also has chill clip, and with reconstruction rounds on, it makes pretty much every shot a chill clip shot. These fusions are insane and have saved my skin so many times, so keep an eye out for them. The second benefit of having heavy ammo finder on is for our exotic weapon of choice, the Two-Tailed Fox rocket launcher. This thing suppresses enemies and causes solar damage over time. And with this season's weapon Catalyst, now jolts targets with the second rocket too. The rockets also track to enemies. This thing is amazing and I can't stop using it. If you don't have the Catalyst yet, you simply need to complete ritual activities and it has a chance of dropping at the end of the event. I got mine after about 8 tries. If you don't have the Two-Tailed Fox yet, this season's exotic machine gun is a great choice. You swap out jolting targets for weakening instead, which is by no means a bad thing. It naturally has volatile rounds and is also void, so it will be getting the void weapon surge buff here too. But grind for the Two-Tailed Fox Catalyst, it is totally worth it. Now finally, the Unforgiven submachine gun with Repulsor's Brace is still my go-to ad clearing and survivability weapon. Orbs are making this thing have volatile rounds, which in turn, when killing an enemy with volatile rounds, gives us 50% damage reduction in the form of a void overshield, thanks to Repulsor's Brace. Mine's got Demolitionist on too, which goes hand in hand with our nade spamming here and means we never have to reload, whilst also providing more grenade regen, as if we haven't gotten enough. Now, I know not everyone's going to have a god roll like this, so another suggestion is the Hollow Denial Trace Rifle with something like Lead from Gold and Repulsor's Brace. That would be really good. This is also craftable and can be farmed easily. As long as you have something with Repulsor's Brace on for the overshield, you'll be good. It adds so much survivability, and that's important because if you die when you have ×4 star eater buff, you will lose the buff when you respawn. For your armor stats, try going for 100 resilience, then go mobility, then discipline. A couple more mods worth unlocking in the artifact before I go. A Bricks from Beyond. Defeating a powerful combatant with a void weapon has the chance to generate heavy ammo for you and your teammates. And the authorized mods, Void and Grenade perks to reduce the cost of armor mods you'll be using like Void Weapon Surge and Grenade Kickstarter. I think I've covered everything. There is a lot going on here, but honestly it all just happens pretty passively. And you'll be making orbs, fire sprites, getting ability regen, weapon buffs, healing, overshields, everything without even thinking about it. If you have any other weapon suggestions, leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching my video guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.